Hi class, welcome to session 4 of JA Our Community, and this session is about voting and what it means to be a responsible citizen. And I want to take this in a little different direction than I think what you might see in class. So when we talk about being responsible citizens, sometimes what we think about is just voting. And being a responsible citizen, so much more than just voting. Voting is just one action that you can take that makes you responsible, but there's a lot you need to do in between the elections as well. So I'm going to speak about both of those things in the context of being a responsible citizen. So ever since I was allowed to vote, when I was old enough to vote, when I turned 18, I voted in every single election, not just for the presidential election, but even for our smaller elections, which are for county government and some of those other roles. Voting is one way for your voice to be heard. Sometimes your candidate wins, sometimes yours doesn't. But if it's a close race, that sends a really important message, as well as if one candidate really beats the other candidate, that sends an important message as well to those folks in terms of what the community wants. So voting is really important. If you don't vote, your voice is essentially not heard in any way whatsoever. And I know it can be tough because you feel like, oh, well, you know, if I don't see someone that maybe looks like me or talks like me or comes from the same place as me, well, the only way they're going to pay attention to you is if you keep voting, if you keep engaging them and being involved in their world. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. I remember when I was in high school, or just after high school, one of my former high school teachers ran for political office in the northern part of the state in Newcastle County. His name was Jimmy Flynn. And I helped him with his campaign. I went around and I handed out flyers. And on the day of the election, I went to the polling place and I encouraged people to vote for Mr. Flynn because I thought he was a really nice guy and cared about a lot of things. He didn't win, and I was disappointed, but it taught me a lot about the process and how hard it is to actually get elected, and that you need to understand the issues and you need to spend time speaking with people and hearing what their concerns are and what they would want you to do if you are elected. My stepdad actually ran for political office in Delaware a couple of times. He ran for county executive in Newcastle County. He didn't win those elections, but he was very frustrated with the way the government was working. And so he went ahead and ran on his own. Right? I think that's a good thing. And he's been very active. My family is generally pretty active in the community and in politics. So we email and call and text our elected state senator and state representative. If we care about something enough, we will email the governor's office or even the folks that represent us in Congress in Washington, D.C. If you're not expressing your opinion along the way, and you need to do your research and you need to understand these things, your opinion doesn't mean that you're right. You need to do your research. But you should ask questions. You should share your thoughts and those things with your representatives so they know. Very often, I have found that people in government, our elected officials, make decisions and they've only had the input of maybe 5 or 6 people because they don't always go out and ask people. Sometimes they just wait for people to share what they think. So if you want to increase the odds that someone's going to do what you'd like and they're going to listen to you, you need to speak up. So you need to give presentations, you need to go to meetings, you need to send emails and make phone calls. You need to put the effort and energy in for them to hear you. You certainly should exercise your right to free speech and attend protests if you feel like that's what's necessary. You need to do it appropriately, but you should do that. You should write letters to the editor of newspapers. When I was in college, I used to write letters and articles for our school newspaper all the time. About things that I cared about that were happening on campus. So that's one side of it. The other side of this is a responsible community member gives back to their community in some way. So if you see something good that's happening that you want to continue, you might donate some time or some money to it. If you see something that you think needs to change, you might find a way to become part of that change. So I'll give you a couple examples. My wife and son and I, we give money to a local dog rescue all of the time because we always get our dogs from this rescue instead of buying them from the pet store because we want to help those dogs that have been through a difficult time. So we donate to that rescue and we always adopt from that rescue. I'm a volunteer with Junior Achievement of Delaware. give a lot of time to Junior Achievement of Delaware. Sometimes I donate money as well when I can, because I think it's so important for young people to understand how the world works. If they want to be a business owner one day, to be an entrepreneur, how to do that, to understand where money comes from and how it's spent. All really, really important things in life that I don't think are easy for schools to cover with everything else they're responsible for. So I'm very committed to Junior Achievement of Delaware. I think it's an important cause. My wife and I also have a scholarship that we fund every year, where we help send students to other countries so they can learn about the world and gain different perspectives. So our hope is when they come back to America, that they want to give back to their communities, but that they understand there's so much more to this world than just the community we live in, or even the state or our country. The way we do things is not always the best way or the right way. It's just one way. And so we think it's important for our community to be stronger, for us to help the members of our community grow. And so whenever we have some extra time or some extra money, we try to find a way to do that. So really, like, being a member of, what does it mean to be a citizen of your community? To me, it means every day trying to find ways to make my community better. It's not about what I want or me. It's about what the members of my community want and need. And so if somebody in our community is struggling, our community should find ways to help and support them get back on their feet. It shouldn't be to find ways to exclude them. It should be to bring them in, right? Because that's what we would want if we needed help. And so really, in the long term, when you're adults, what you want the community to look like, it's going to be up to you to create that community. And you're going to need to find ways to give your time or your money or your expertise, the things that you know, and help each other. And if you want your community to be a great place to live, if you want it to be strong, it will be directly because you invested yourself in the community and you did the right things and you made good choices and you supported each other. And if you do that, you're going to have a great, fruitful, happy life, and your community will be better for it. So maybe after this video, you and your teacher can discuss some ways that you can get involved in your community or some issues that you care about. And at your school, I bet you have a student council. Who are your student council representatives? What are some of the things you would like to see in your school? Because your school is a community. What are some things you'd like to see happen in your school a little bit differently? And how can you make that change take place? So good luck. It's a lot of hard work, but it's worthwhile. And there's nothing better in this world than helping someone else and seeing them have a smile on their face because they know that somebody cares. Good luck.